Hello everyone, and let me welcome you at another from our series of the webinars Meet the Expert. Today, we will be talking about MyQ Roger, and I'm here, of course, not alone. Together with me is my colleague from our product department, the one and only Petr Volny, who's responsible for the development of MyQ Roger. The reason why is here is basically we will be talking about the new stuff you can expect soon as part of MyQ Roger. So he is the best man to actually demonstrate all these things to you. So let me welcome him here in the studio.
Hi guys, thanks for having me, Michael.
So let's get it started. Let's look at what expects us in Roger. And sorry for this little glitch. So what we will have as part of today's webinar. We've got a few topics we have to prepare and we have to demonstrate today. So starting first with the embedded terminal, basically one of the most important parts of MyQ Roger any user encounters. So what we will demonstrate here first is the new look of the Kyocera embedded terminal. We'll speak about that in details to show you what is cooking and what you can expect as part of the release. Those of you who follow us quite often and check all the posts, you already know that this embedded terminal has recently been released as an RTM. So whatever you will see today, you can immediately check if you've got any Kyocera machine supporting this functionality. Well, then definitely we'll have to speak about the new cloud storages and the way we can work with them. It's closely related to the new release of the Kyocera. Not only that it would be a Kyocera feature, but it's something that affects all the terminals and gives you much more flexibility when managing your files. Next thing we will be talking about is then the MyQ Roger client. And specifically, we would like to focus on those that are using the MRC in environments like schools, libraries, or the co-working centers, basically any place where you do not have control over the computers of the users. So the new functionality, the new ways of deployment could be really handy. Together with that is then of the new option, the job spooling, which is now going in a different way. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I will not go for the details. Maybe you already know, maybe not, but what you will see is actually how it works now or how it can work for your users. The last one is then a thing that's been requested for quite some time by some of our partners. So as you can see, our product department has taken that into their roadmap and has now brought the quotas. So the last thing we will demonstrate today are the quotas of MyQ Roger. The last topic I do not have here in this agenda is then a little sneak peek into our roadmap. So it could be pretty handy so you can see what you can expect in the future. So what again would be a part of this session as a demonstration of what we are cooking, which is identical to the name. But that's been enough. Let's now go into the actual demonstration, starting with the embedded terminal. So I will quickly stop sharing the screen. And before we will go into the actual real demonstration, I would like to show this. A screen which some of you already know. This is how MyQ Roger looks on Kyocera now, or how it actually looked till today. So basically, those of you who have been using MyQ Roger on Kyocera know that it's kind of identical to the MyQ X. There are no major differences, not from the login screen, not even inside. There are, of course, features like the possibility to use the universal print. There's an option to scan to OneDrive. But if you've seen our other embeds for the MyQ Roger, you know that few things were missing. And as part of today, actually, in a couple of seconds, we will demonstrate that this is no longer missing on Kyocera, because we will show you the new embedded as it will look like from now. Now, there's maybe an important message before we will jump into this demonstration, and that is, if you have a customer that is still using the, let's say, old look, which you can see here right now, you don't have to be afraid that these two branches of the Kyocera terminal will be running side by side. So if your customer would rather stick to the old way, to the old look, because they're kind of used to it and they don't like the innovations, they don't have to upgrade. They can still be using the old one the way they are used to. On the other hand, those that would like to get the enhanced functionality, and as you will see, they can miss quite a lot if they will not be using the new one, they can just simply upgrade and start using the new embedded terminal. But enough for that, let's go for the practical one. So again, stopping the sharing to get rid of my presentation. And instead of that, I will just share the main screen to show you the VNC where you can see the actual terminal. So it looks like that. Instead of the black screen, there is a new white one. You would like to have all the login options, you can have them here. The same way like in the previous terminal, the QR code is there. So if you prefer to log in using the mobile phone, which gives you additional level of authentication, basically combining the secure deployment and MUM policies together with the Face ID or scanning of a fingerprint and then authentication through a dynamic QR code, you can use it. But if you don't want to go the mobile way, you can use all the other options you are used to from the old version. So using the PIN, using the password, card, anything which was there is here still. Now to the login. To make it faster, I will actually use my mobile phone. And in order not to speak only myself, I will ask Peter to also join me. So if you would like to comment something, now is the time for him. As you will see, I will be logging in into the terminal by scanning the QR code from my mobile phone. It will unlock the screen, and in a couple of seconds, we will be inside to show you what are the new things.
Okay, I will join in with few points. I hope that will sound interesting for the most of you guys. As Michal said, both Coursera terminal will still be supported, but you will miss on a lot. I think you can see we have finally cloud storages which you can browse, and you can scan directly to the subfolders. You can print directly from them. You can see even themes, which Michal will get into in a minute, I think. So definitely try it out and let us know, because we are trying to do all the development that we are doing with a cooperation of some customers, partners, and so on. And we want to hear your feedback as fast as possible.
Sorry for that, I was muted. I would add one more thing to that. So as you can see, we can now browse the connected cloud storages like OneDrive, SharePoint, or any other connected storage. But you can do it in two ways. Using the standard scanning profiles, which are provided by the admin. But if there will be something missing, it's not a problem. The same way as you are used to it, for example, from the HP or Ricoh, you can just browse the cloud storage, and as Peter mentioned, just select some subfolder, click the scan here, and you can define the parameters of the actual scan. Advantage of this option is not only that you can scan to destinations that were not prepared by the admin, but more importantly, in this mode, this way, we can actually call all the features of the device and utilize them. There's one more thing which we'll mention a little bit later on the other embedded terminal we have prepared for you. So there is a little important thing when it comes to the document processing, which I will now keep hidden, but we will show it a moment later. So as you can see in this little graphical UI, I can change the parameters, like if it will be single-sided or if it will be in duplex, the resolution. I can select the format and start scanning directly into the selected subfolder. So as you can see now, probably you may also hear our machine working because it's now scanning it into this folder. That would be all about the Coursera. Because what I wanted to demonstrate is that the Coursera actually now looks as all the other terminals we had in our portfolio. So for that reason, we will now switch to the other one, which is the HP. And of course, because I'm trying to impress you, the device has decided not to cooperate, asking me for the admin password. So I'll have to little bit delay and try to log in again. Try again in 57 seconds. Lovely. You know, we probably have reached our glitch of the day, which is not MyQ related, but it's here that I accidentally used a wrong button, so we'll have to wait for a little bit longer to get into the UI. So, not to waste your time and our time as well, let's demonstrate a few things here on Kyocera before we will jump into HP. So what we have mentioned is here the option to have a SharePoint, but what you are probably not aware of is that there's an option to also get another destination, which is Microsoft Teams. And as you can see, I've got here the groups or the teams that I'm currently following.
Yes, and what we've added in a recent version is you can now list all your sites that you have in your SharePoints or the teams that you are a member of if we are talking about Microsoft Teams. It's in settings in our server, and yeah, it's also a feature that was requested by quite a lot by a lot of you. So now you can finally turn that on, and you will see all the sites that you have in your company environment, not just those you are following.
Now finally for the HP. So we can log in the very same way, so you can see that the look and feel is absolutely identical on all the devices. So if you will have a mixed fleet of devices, you can have the same feel on all of them, so the user will not see any difference. Same thing as you've seen on a Kyocera, you can now see here on the display of the HP device, including the team and the SharePoint. Now, the one Peter was talking about is that we can potentially get more details here, but to get them, I will have to log out and go back to the server, and that's actually not the one I wanted to use. It will be this one. And here in the menu, we can now select how it will operate. So, Peter, if you wouldn't mind navigating me, provided I would get lost.
I think you just found it, yes.
I just found it. So if we are here in the settings and cloud storages, as you can see for the SharePoint, there is an option list followed sites only. But if I'll unclick it, save it, and we'll log in again on my terminal, I will actually get the details. Or would you like to add something, Peter?
I will just add that it was, of course, just under SharePoint, but it will affect both Teams and SharePoint sites, because the team sites are actually also SharePoint sites. But you know, let's not get way too technical.
So now I've logged in again. Will it impact me in any way? I suppose it will. Going for the SharePoint, there's one of the security features which you are probably aware of, but we wanted to highlight it here again. So I used the login by pen, and what happened is I cannot get into my SharePoint. Peter, do you care to explain?
Yeah, that's another thing that I think we have for quite some time in Roger. We differentiate between two login methods. We call them weak and strong authentication methods. Weak login method is, for example, a PIN, because it can be easily guessed, and we are also focused on security quite heavily. So by default, when you are logged in with weak authentication method, you cannot browse cloud storages. So you don't just like randomly mistype a PIN of one of your colleagues, and then you can browse their files. They can even have some personal files there, right? So we've introduced that, and it can, of course, be overridden in server settings, which Michal will demonstrate. And then, of course, even with those weak authentication methods, you can browse storages if you opt in to do so.
Here in the server settings again, under the option security, there's one thing we can activate, but we definitely advise you not to do so. And that is, if you would like to use your cloud storages with a PIN, you will activate it here, save, and again, you will now be able to log in on the embedded screen, even with the PIN, and you will get the access. On the other hand, there's one functionality that will always tell you that this is an option which might not be secured enough, as I will demonstrate right now. So logging using my pen, going for the SharePoint. And before I will be able to log in there, it's just telling you this. To potentially avoid using pen and go for some more secure methods. Basically a little, how to say that? Little way how to tell the users that this might not be the recommended way when it comes to security. Now, when I'm now logged in, you can see the difference because we have activated that we don't want to only have the followed pages, but every team I'm a member of. So now I can have all the details. Same thing will appear on the teams, again with the same warning. To get rid of that, I would like to use a much more secure option, which will be, for example, the card, password, or the mobile phone. So for that very reason, I will now scan my card so I can use it for the future operations. So here we are. We're now working about with the SharePoint. You can browse through it. You can get into any teams, same way in Teams to manage all your options there. Now, for that, Peter, would you like to add something, or is that everything we had here on the plan?
I think we've covered all the new things regarding HP. We will get back to the terminal with quotas, right? But I think now we are safe to go for another topic.
And if I'm not mistaken, the next topic on our agenda was the MRC.
Yes, that's correct.
And specifically, this feature is, unlike those you have seen right now, a functionality which you will not be able to test right now. But, as this is something what is cooking session, basically we are also demonstrating features which will be coming soon.
Yeah, that is coming next week with our new server release, which will be called 2.15, and you can get your hands on those features next Wednesday.
All right, so my comment was a little bit off, but doesn't matter. You cannot test it now. You'll have to do it next week. So, on one of our QA servers, let's demonstrate what this feature is about. Shall I navigate through it, or would you like to do it, Peter?
You can definitely navigate through it. I will just add that it's one of those features that we are trying to make life of our admins easier. We are not focused just on end users, but we are adding things that will make also Roger management easier. If you remember, we've quite recently added downloading logs from both terminals and desktop clients, which made our admins' life way easier, and we can close some bug investigation way faster because those guys can get their hands on those logs way faster. And this feature you will be showing now, Michael, is from the same group.
Today, I'm still forgetting to unmute my microphone. Sorry for that. So this time we will not be focusing on the admin and analysis of a problem, but instead of that, we will be focusing on the actual deployment. And as I've mentioned in our introduction, we will be talking about deployments in environments where we do not have full control over the computers of the users. Typical example: school, library, co-working center, or even some small organization where we do not have tools like Intune or something like that to be able to easily deploy an application to users. And if we want them to print securely, for example, on the HP device using the drivers, we will need the MyQ Roger clients to be installed there. So the feature we are talking about is basically an option to pre-configure the MRC for your tenancy. Now, previously, as you know, you were able to download the version of the MRC from our community portal, and by using a simple scripting, you were able to modify it so that the MRC would be ready to be deployed at the user and would be pointing to the actual tenancy they are using. If you haven't done that, the limitation or the a little bit annoying step would be that the user had to log in twice, first adding the tenancy, second log in to the actual account. So to avoid these steps that were annoying for the users, our product has now decided to add this little functionality, which can be found under the desktop client. So now, as you can see, I've got one client connected, but there's a new option to download it. And it's not only about downloads, but it has much more behind that. So if I click on that, I can just select if I would like to have a client for my Windows or macOS users. Starting with the Windows ones, you can also see that I have here two already predefined. If you click here on the details, you will see that there's just one basic one, which is only sending everything to my tenancy. But I can have even more details, like for example, the other one, where not only it's prepared to automatically communicate with my tenancy, but it will automatically install the selected driver, which in this case will be the HP Universal, and I can automatically get two printers installed, because there's the parameter printer spooler 3, which for those of you that are working with our solution and know scripting a little bit more, know that the option 3 means that it will install the local spooling and cloud spooling printers. And the other one, the cloud spooling one, is the actual one I would like to promote here more, but we'll get to it later. So now, if I would like to create a new MRC for my users, what I have to do? I can just keep it as it is if I don't want to modify it. So there will be definition of the region and a definition of my tenant. I can just now click on create and it will create the package. On the other hand, I might need to modify it a bit to use the right drivers, to do some settings, and for that you have to add the parameters as for the scripting. Of course, to make it easier, there is a quick link to our documentation where you've got some configuration examples, so you know how to put there the different parameters to get, for example, the outputs like with the color print, with the duplex, with the different printers. Basically, we are using the standard operators, which we have been using before when you are defining the installation through domain policy or Intune. Just now, the MyQ will prepare it for you. So if we are here, let me just copy one of the predefined. So let's say we would like to have a Casora Universal driver, PCL6, printed in color, in duplex, and we would like to get to both the local spooling and the cloud spooling as well. I'll copy the script, go back, we'll simply add it here. Slightly modified to make it nicer. And based on that, I can just simply click on create. What it will do, that in the background, it starts working with our server. You can see that it's actually preparing the new package. And once it's done, you'll be able to use this icon to simply download it. Now there's an option of default. Peter, let's comment this one.
I will comment on default in a minute, but there is one more thing I would like to add. We are aware of that the text box configuration is still quite rusty, so it's just first iteration, and in the future we will make it nicer and more easier with some drop-down switches and so on, so the configuration can be even easier and yeah. So now the default checkbox, as you pointed out, we didn't just let you to prepare the installer itself, but now we added one more settings in settings. I think you can safely browse there. It's in user management, and you can have that default installer that you just prepared included in invitation emails for all your users. It would make the onboarding of new users even easier than it was before, and they can seamlessly, when they receive email with a pin and so on, they can just click the link. They will be redirected into my settings page, and there are buttons that will download them the exact build you've prepared.
Right, so that will be it. So now going back to the client, going for the download to check if our client is prepared, as you can see is. So now I can make a default, so it will be automatically sent to our users. or I can just download it and install it. The very same procedure can be done also for the macOS client. So if you would like to get it for macOS, you can prepare it the very same way to get the package prepared. And then it's up to you how you will deploy it. You can just get the downloaded package, or as Peter mentioned, you can mark it as a default, and every new user who will register or will get into the system, in their invitation email, they will get the package. Now, as you can see, it has been created. So now I have my installation package prepared and I can easily use it. So anything else we would like to comment on that, Peter? Is there something that you would like to really specifically highlight before I will go to the live demo?
I will just repeat that we will of course still support that mass deployment and mass configuration through command line. You can use Intunes and all the ways that you were used to before. This is just like additional way how you can distribute the desktop clients in your company if you don't use those mentioned before.
So as you can see, we've got the client prepared and we have it here communicating with one of our tenancies. There are 4 login options as they were before, but of course, as an admin, I can decide which of these will actually be used. So if I will go here into the settings of my tenancy, I will be able to manage it here through the login options. So if I would like to, for example, disable certain options, I can easily do it. Once the client starts communicating with the tenancy, it will just give the user the options you want to have there. Now I will use Sign In with Microsoft because of the intro which is behind the whole installation, and which also helps me to have my SharePoint and OneDrive and Teams already connected. And here is the point which we would like to really demonstrate, and that is one of the options related to the spooling. So, as you know, the standard MRC, when you are printing, it's actually printing the way that it collects the job, because the MRC is actually listening on the LPR 515 port of your computer as a user, collecting all the jobs, analyzing them, and then storing them encrypted locally. The whole process is done the way that it will send a notification to the tenancy as part of the standard update. The end update is, of course, then shared with other components like the mobile or the device. Now, this way we can easily print, use the drivers with all the finishing options, with all the potential settings that are available in the driver. Now, an obvious downside of this approach is that when you will use it, and the user's computer is off, because logically what I would do as a user is I've got my laptop, I'll send the print job and would like to go to my device. So if I will just close my laptop so it's no longer available, the downside of that would be that I will not be able to print. Another little bit impractical thing is in the way it used to communicate. It actually does for security reasons, and that is that before the client actually releases your print job to the device, it needs to check it if the device is available using the SNMP protocol to check if it is in OK status, if it's the actual device to which we would like to print. Of course, security is our priority, as we mentioned so many times. The potential issue with that could be that to make that happen, the admin has to ensure that these 2 networks, the one with the users and the one with the devices, are interconnected, are linked, which in environments like, for example, school or library, might not be a thing the admin would like to do. So for that very reason, we have now added the option of cloud spooling. And as you probably guessed, it's using the standard drivers. So you will create absolutely normal job with all the parameters, all the settings you would like to have. The client will receive it, and when the user already has the cloud storage connected, as you've already guessed, the job gets uploaded into the cloud storage. So that way there doesn't have to be any connection between the MRC and the printer, because it will go to your cloud storage. And as you know, if you're following MyQ Roger, the cloud storage, or specifically one folder in your cloud storage, can actually become your virtual print queue, making that job available on any machine connected to your setup. So let's do the little demonstration. For that very reason, I've got here my OneDrive prepared, and the folder I was talking about is actually under apps MyQ Roger print. Now, as you can see, it's empty. So what I'll do is I will use one of the devices I've got prepared here. It was actually installed together with the client, and that's the Roger Cloud spooling printer that's been prepared because we have defined that in the profile when we were creating the MRC for this installation. Now, for those of you that are interested in the technical part of that, the main difference in the settings are the actual settings of the port. So as you can see, it's printing to localhost, but with specially named printing queue, Roger Cloud spooling. So if the MRC will get a job on the queue with this definition, with this name, it automatically knows that it should upload it into the cloud. So let's go with the test page. Standard procedure, you'll get the pop-up with the message received, and in a couple of moments, if I go back here, you can see that there's a test page which has been added. It's a file with indication of MyQ, so now you can see this is a file produced by drivers, but it's available absolutely anywhere. If I would now turn my computer off, it wouldn't matter because I would be able to come to any connected machine and release it. And let's not just talk about it, let's actually do it. So if it is still connected, which of course it's not, so let me wake our machine and launch the remote panel again. Houston, I'm trying to impress someone here. Allow. So let's log in. And you see the test page is here. We've got then a nice indication that this job is in color, and I can now release it. Now, using a mouse to actually swipe here is not good, so I can use it here on the display. So by putting it to the side, I will also be able to change also the job properties, because as it was done in the cloud storage, I was not able to do it. But only based on the settings in a driver. This way, I can potentially change it. And now, let's go for execute to print my job from the cloud. But this is not from a cloud. This is one that originated in the MRC and is just now printed because of the thing that was uploaded into my storage in a cloud. Now, as we look at this screen, you can see that there is a Bessie. We're actually decided to have our avatar in all the components. But Peter would like to definitely say something about that, I believe. Because there were some requests from our customers to do something about Bessie, not to have her everywhere.
Well, I will definitely add that we can hear quite often that customer would like to have their not just embedded terminal, but also desktop client applications and so on customized. They would like to see their own logo there and so on. So that's something that is definitely coming. We are now, we can say, halfway done in server. There is now an option which you can use to disable the avatar. So there will be no avatars across all the endpoint devices that you are using. And in quite near future, we will be also including an option to upload your own logo that will be displayed there. I have one more thing though, Michael. I would like to go back to that cloud spooling thing. You are showing it through Microsoft OneDrive, right? But we also have an option if you are signed in with your Google account, the job will get equally spooled, but just to your Google Drive, and the printer will like download it itself when you are releasing it. And if I may add one more thing, we will definitely not stop here because some of our customer, for some reason, cannot use either Google Drive or OneDrive, and even we know that it has some security benefits, like you have the file under your control all the time. We'll be adding an option so you can use cloud spooling, but to Azure blob storage. That means even users that will log in with MyQ account, or for some reason their company will not add MyQ Roger in their Azure apps, will be also able to use the benefits of cloud spooling. That means printing without having the printer in same network, or without having the computer online at the time of releasing the job. So that is also coming soon, and it's quite exciting.
All right, thank you for these things. Thank you for these additions. I've definitely forgotten to mention them. So it's not only intended for those using Microsoft, but also for other users where they would like to get the Google Workspace environment working. So that will be about the cloud spooling. It will be also, as you can see now, after the login, the Bessie has disappeared. She's only here as my little icon, but as you know probably from the past, you can easily replace it by your own picture, if of course you would like to do so. Same way, I believe it affects all the other components. So your mobile application as well as the MRC.
Yes.
Just one more thing, if you will be trying that, please make sure that after this change, log out and log in again to load the actual settings, because the avatar may not disappear instantly. It will be after the next login to the selected application of yours. So that's another thing we had on our plan. Is there something you would like to say about the embedded terminal, Peter, or we should go for another topic, which I believe was a little sneak peek into the future?
I think we missed quotas.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, the main highlight of today. So that was one of the things that was really requested by our customers, and that is to be able to limit the users, to be able to enforce certain rules, certain settings, showing them the boundaries and limits. And for that, we will just do it right now. So, as we are in the web UI, we can actually go to the settings, and that can be done here on a cost center. So as you can see now, on one of my cost centers, there is this little icon, which indicates that on this very cost center, we already applied some quota. So if I click on it or use the edit, sort of like this, you'll see that there's a quota already enabled, and it's using a limit on color pages, which is 200. Same way, if I would like to apply it to the other cost center, I will just go here for the edit, set print quotas, and I can either limit the total amount of pages, or I can limit the color ones. So let's say 10 will be total limit, so we don't have to bother with the color ones, and whatever the user will print, it actually gets deducted from that limit they've got per the selected period. The period is set the same way as you are used to it from MyQX, so you've got here the day, week, month, quarter, and a year, after which it automatically refreshes to the preset limit.
There is also option in users where admin can, I don't want to use word boost user quota, but he can reset it manually. So in case one of your users will reach the quota and he still needs to print, you can just reset the quota. It's in edit cost centers, and there is the reset button. Yes.
It can be like that. Now let's look how it looks on the embedded terminal. So if we are back here, I just need to find my card. Invalid card. Which card I was using before? Okay, that's a problem if you've got more than one card at your table. So I will not bother. I will now use the PIN to log in. And here we are. So at the top of the screen, you can now see that a number of pre-sales, and this cost center actually has a total limit of 10 pages, which also shows us that it's also a total limit of the color ones, because, I cannot go over it. So now if I will select some file that should be printed, and yes, it informs me that I was using a pen. If I will just browse and select some of the files, what it could be. It will now start printing, and at the end of the print job, it will just calculate how many pages were printed out, and it will be almost instantly deducted from my limit. Once I will completely reach it, the operations related will be, of course, disabled. So in this case, the only thing which will remain after my quota is depleted is the option to scan.
What I can add here is this is just our first iteration of quotas. So we definitely plan to add more features now. It's just a simple page quota. Even it allows you to achieve some interesting scenarios. For example, you can set limit for total pages and then set 0 for color pages, which can effectively work as I can use word printing rules, because all the users will be forced to print just in black and white and so on. So what's next? We will also introduce credit quota, because we already have price list in place and so on. So you will be able to set not just a number of pages, but also some budget that user can spend into printing, but that's coming later this year. So that's it for the quotas, I think, Michael. Oh, I will maybe add just last thing, and the quota should be also coming out next week.
Right? So that'll be about that. So basically, I believe we covered all the features we had on our list. Now, as we've got a few more minutes, would you like to show some little sneak peek into the roadmap?
I can definitely comment on what are we working on right now. I've mentioned that we will be adding some more quota options, but we will also work on a heavily requested feature, and that is scheduled reports, because I hear that so often that guys want to have their reports delivered like every Monday morning and so on. So it's finally coming, and not just that, we will be also adding some colorful PDF reports and so on, like environmental reports. What else is there? Chrome extension. Yeah, we are also starting to work on Chrome extension. I know what we forgot, Michael. OCR and intelligent document processing.
All right.
So I think I can just comment on it. You don't have to log into the machine again. But currently on HP, if your HP supports it, and I know, for example, all the devices from Flow line does support it, you can scan as you can use machine OCR with Roger, and you can scan as searchable PDF and so on. Again, we will not stop there. Quite soon, we will be introducing our OCR for all the brands. There will be some documents processing on top of that, but I don't want to spoil it all now. So we can have one more session in the future about that. It will be also very interesting. What can we do with it? Another thing that is worth mentioning is, I think, print sharing. Michael,
Yeah.
what does it mean?
My favorite. You remember this one? The one we have showed in the past? That back then it was almost as a joke. Something like a print sharing when you'll be able to print instantly, pay for it, and leave. Let's be a little bit mysterious. But what we can say right now that the print sharing is coming, and it's coming probably sooner than you expected. So stay tuned, stay with us, and let us show you what the Roger will do in the future. Now, we know we are already at the end of the schedule, but if there are a few questions it's time to answer some of those. Of course, we probably will not be able to answer everything, but if there'll be anything left, we will definitely make some time to prepare the answers and provide them directly to you. So let me check the QA session if there's something. Okay, that's the one you actually mentioned. There's one, and the quota is a cool feature, but we are waiting for Roger's credit implementation and integration with online payment providers. So, anything about that?
Well, what can I say? We are working on payment implementation because print sharing, as you know, requires it. So it is coming really soon, and that means in the future the monetary quota will of course also benefit from it. That's all I can say.
Right. So another question here in the list, and that is again related to quota, and that is now the quota is based on the amount, based on the pages, but can we do it also based on the amount, the money that will be behind that?
Yes, that's what I said. That's in another iteration of quota. You will be able to set like credit limit, budget, and based on prices that you set in price list, it will get deducted. So yes, it is coming.
All right. Another one, that is if you can confirm if we can release prints to any brand of printer or MFD.
Yes, we call them single function printers, and you can currently release jobs from all the brands that MyQ supports. I don't have the list somewhere here with me, but it's all the brands that you are basically used to. Michael, do you want to name some, or the guys knows?
Generally, we can talk about the standard network printers to which we can print. Again, we don't have the list prepared, but if anyone will be interested in using any SFD to get with Roger, just contact our pre-sales or support, and we will be able to advise you. Now, I believe it's time to do just one more question. There are unfortunately more, but we don't want to go too much over the schedule. And that is, the last one I would like to pick is, how can we use cloud spooling if we do not use OneDrive?
Well, you can either use Google account and the jobs will get spooled into your Google Drive, and I think Google Drive is free to use. Or you can wait for a while, like a month or something, and you will be able to use Azure Blob Storage Cloud Spooling, even with MyQ account.
But about that in one of the future sessions, because that will be one hell of a functionality that will really help all the users use this cloud spooling. So definitely that will be a thing for one of the future webinars. Now, unfortunately, we're over the time, so I would like to thank you, as always, for joining us on these sessions. You're a great community. We're really, happy that we can be here demonstrating these things for you, and I hope that we will meet each other at another webinar, either if it will be, again, MyQ Roger or MyQX. So thank you for being here with us today, and see you on the next one.
Thank you.